An important topic to understand when dealing with audio applications or even engineering applications is something known as resonance. Resonance is essentially when something known as forced vibration matches or meets what's known as a natural frequency. In a second, I'll show you a very visual example of both a natural frequency as well as forced vibration. Before we do that, it will be helpful to take a look at the actual definitions of these terms. The natural frequency of an object is the frequency at which an object will vibrate if you set it in motion, or you allow it to vibrate, and you don't continually hit that object. You don't continually exert at any point an applied external force. So think, if you will, a pendulum in which you set in motion and you do not apply any additional force when it returns to its peaks, to its highest amplitude. You just allow this pendulum to go back and forth at the natural rate it would like to go. Every object has this natural frequency, and as long as you're not continually applying an external applied force, this object or this pendulum will oscillate at a given frequency every time. A second example would be to think of a child on a swing who has no friends who will push that child. Not only will that child vibrate at their natural frequency once set in motion, that child would also be me as a kid. Forced vibration, on the other hand, is quite simply when one object that's vibrating causes another object that it's either resting on or next to also begin to vibrate. An example of this would be if your cell phone was on vibrate and was placed on a table, you usually hear a much louder noise when that table is vibrating as well. So the vibrating cell phone can force the table to vibrate. To visually see an example of natural frequency, we can take a look at a pendulum that we set into motion. Count the number of cycles: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We have 10 cycles. It's taken about 14 and a half seconds roughly. So if I take this number of cycles, 10, and I divide that by the time, 14.423, I find that the frequency of vibration is about 0.69 hertz. If I increase the amplitude, if I raise that much higher before I let go, right, the amplitude is increased, the amount of energy is being increased. And if I count a certain number of cycles, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Once again, it takes about 14 and a half seconds. And if we were to calculate using the actual value we have, now remember it was about 0.69 hertz previously. If I take 10 cycles, I divide it by 14.352 seconds in this case, cycles over time, you'll see that I still get about 0.69 hertz. In fact, it doesn't matter where I drop this from, as long as I don't continually push this pendulum, as I would maybe someone on a swing, the natural frequency, the frequency at which it will vibrate, will always be the same. Every object will have its own natural frequency based on its own structure and the makeup of the object itself. In this example, I'll set the pendulum in motion and show you the natural frequency. If I apply a forced vibration, a vibration that has the same exact frequency, so that I apply a force at the exactly right moment, you'll find that the amplitude of that object will begin to rise. You note the amplitude gets larger and larger. My forced vibration is perfectly in sync. The forced vibration matches the natural frequency of the object exactly as shown in that previous example. Resonance occurs. Resonance is the continual growing of this wave as more and more energy is put into this object. So an object will vibrate with a higher and higher amplitude when the forced vibration matches the natural frequency of the object. The force vibration doesn't match perfectly, as shown here. Well, sometimes it misses, sometimes it increases the amplitude, sometimes it decreases the amplitude. It's more of a random phenomenon. Resonance will not occur in this case. For resonance to occur, the force vibration must match the natural frequency. A great example of resonance can be seen in using sound to actually break a glass.
Jamie Vendera is famous for using the sound of his voice to destroy wine glasses. They seem to simply explode. But what's happening?
I know the sound waves broke the glass, but I couldn't see how. So I'm going to use our slow motion camera to see what we were missing. Instead of singing, I'm going to use a speaker and a tone generator. I have to find the natural vibrating frequency of the glass. I have to match this tone. That's it.
This is the exact tone to make this particular glass vibrate. When the tone is loud enough, the glass will shatter.
I can feel the glass shaking, but I can't see it. If I add a straw, then it's more obvious.
So what's happening here? The straw gets tossed side to side, but I can't see why.
Let's record it while I crank the volume. I took 10,000 frames per second, and I took 1 second. If I were to play back this whole video, it would take 8 minutes to get through.
Oh, this is amazing. What felt like the whole goblet vibrating is actually the rim bending back and forth, 337 times a second, the same rate as the sound waves. If I draw in the sound waves, you can see what's happening. One wave comes out of the speaker and pushes the side of the wine glass. The glass bounces back just when another sound wave pushes it again. If the timing or frequency of the sound waves is exactly right, the motion will build until the glass breaks.